Do you want to learn how you can get better at photography? Well, that's where creating prints can help. Let's dive in. Hello friends, my name is Chris Orwig. I'm a photographer, an author, and a teacher. I'm a Sony artisan of imagery. And this video is part of this little mini series where I'm talking about the art, the craft, and the joy of printing. And in this episode, I want to talk about how printing can actually act as kind of a mentor or a friend, as a feedback loop, which can help you get better. And in order to illustrate that point, I'm going to share a few images to talk about composition, noticing details, post-production work, and how all of these things that I've learned because of the print. And want to illustrate this idea that the print can be a great teacher. So let's dive in. All right, well, here are a couple images, and these are some images I captured on my iPhone. I'll show this one first. And I love this image, but when I printed it out, I instantly knew what was wrong. And what was wrong is that I was holding my iPhone right about here, not quite eye level, because iPhones we tend to hold right around here, and that's a little bit too high of a camera height. When you have a wider angle lens like I was using, I should have been more right around here. And too often with our phones, it's so easy just to snap where it's comfortable and forget the need to change our camera height. So this image, while it's good, it could have been a ton better if I just lowered the camera a little bit more. So it reminded me of that. This one, this reminds me kind of that I did an okay job. I got down, she was sitting down, so I should be sitting down. And again, I probably could have gotten a little lower as well. And I think sometimes that happens when we're working with our devices because the way we're holding them, and we forget that we need to really move our body as we're recomposing the frame. Great reminder. I mean, I think I know about camera height, but shoot, I completely forgot that because I was caught up in the moment. So the print helped remind me, Chris, work on camera height, and it's an important thing to remember. All right, what did this image teach me? Well, I was excited about this moment, photographing Emily here in this abandoned bank, and it was such a great setting and scene. It was so cool. And when I printed it, suddenly all I could notice were her toes. And I don't know if you can see that very well, but she's barefoot and her toes are showing through. And this is one of those reminders of like, oh yeah, Chris, remember in Photo 101, what they teach you? They teach you to look at the camera and then travel around the whole frame. Look at all the details in the frame. Make sure all those details are good. This would have been so easy to fix. I ended up fixing it in Photoshop, but it would have been easy to just say, hey, what if you tuck your dress over your toes? And so this one, this little print, or big print, I should say, it taught me, hey, Chris, remember to pay attention to details. Yes, get caught up in the moment. Don't forget about those details too. All right, next we'll move to post-production. With this one, here's another moment from that dramatic shoot, the abandoned bank. I was so fired up and excited about this moment, printed the image out, and suddenly all I could notice was how dark it was down here. Her arms just get so dark. There's all this beautiful light here, not enough there. So I was like, I gotta fix that in Lightroom. So this print showed me a post-production problem I hadn't noticed. And so here you can kind of see the fix, and the light on the arms is better, and the overall results works a lot more, kind of our before and after. Now with this image, as I created the print, I realized, you know what, I think the arms look good, but I still need to darken up the corners, the edges a little bit more. So there's always something to learn, right? But printing can help you see things you really just, you kind of can't see on the screen because the screen is so exciting, right? Okay, just a couple more little stories here. This one's more about the idea of testing out ideas. So one photograph two different ways. Let me show you that, see if we can get both in camera. And in this case, you're just seeing that I'm testing out different ways to process an image. Now, I don't know which one I like better. I'd be curious to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments if you'd like. But it's a fun way to just kind of live with treatment of an image. And sometimes I'll do that. I'll live with the image and decide, okay, which I think I'm leaning towards this one. This is the way to go. All right, last but not least, this print is brand new to me this week. I got it, I plugged it in, I connected, I was so excited. I just said, you know what, I'm going to print the last image I posted on Instagram. It's up in Photoshop. Boom, just hit print, send it to the printer. And this was the image that came out. And I was just so excited. It just made me fall in love with photography over and over again. Now, you won't be able to see the details because we're from a distance, but there were these shadows and details with the hair and the color, and it wasn't quite right. So that print showed me that even though I thought my Photoshop work was good, I kind of pride myself. I'm pretty good at Photoshop and Lightroom. I created the world's first ever tutorial in Lightroom way back when it was invented. I've been doing this a long time. But even for someone who's experienced, it's easy to overlook little problems. So then I started experimenting with different treatments. You can kind of see how I was working those, and then eventually landed with this back here with more even color there, better shadows on the face, fixed the hairline a little bit, and it made me so happy to then reprint that and say, all right, in a way that print said, Chris, well done. The first print said, Chris, you missed a couple things. And then I worked on them, and then the proof is kind of in the pudding, right? The proof is that, yeah, it turned out. And so printing can be this great feedback loop. It can be this way to get to know our work in a different way. Rather than seeing it on the screen or the iPad or the phone or whatever it is, we then see it in real life. And what I like to do is put it up on the wall and walk away from it and come back to it. And what you'll see when you visit and revisit your work in that way, that suddenly you see in a way which is deeper. You'll see with more clarity. You'll see with more soulfulness, with more heart. Because when we're on a computer, we tend to think about problems. I've told this story before, but I was once sitting down with Seal, the singer and songwriter at Lightroom, and he said, Chris, you know, when I shoot with film, I embrace the mistake. When I shoot with digital, I think about what problem do I need to fix. We open up our images and say, what's wrong? And so that's good, that's fine. We need to fix things. Raw files need a little help. Retouch this, retouch that. But then when you print it, you kind of step back from it a little bit. You say, okay, well, what works? What doesn't work? And you say it in a different way because you can't make the fix right away. All right, well, that wraps up our conversation about how a print can actually be a great feedback loop, a mentor, a friend, which can help you improve your craft.